Let me ask you kind of a sticky question, and I don't want to get into I'm trying to think of a way to ask this in a way that won't sound funny, but I'll just ask it straight out. Let you kind of navigate it. I'll throw it on you, Jeff, because I can't figure it out.
Easy for you.
I'm not sharp enough to get it here.
Easy for you. You're asking the questions.
Right. Well, so you come back 2011, you decide to go, but you're not going to start your own. You're going to go back to WFG. Okay, now you got a lifetime experience. You've been doing this basically since you were a kid or a young man anyway,
correct,
right? 26.
Correct.
You know where all the bodies are buried. You know how the system works. You were there from the beginning, pretty much. How did you land? I don't want to get into like group favoritism or organizational favoritism or anything like that, as you know. But you could have gone anywhere you want. I mean, you're the pick of the litter here.
I could have gone direct to the company, which is where I was most of my career.
Sure. So why Wealthwave? What about not to compare to other groups?
And Wealthwave wasn't started then.
Okay.
Tom had his team. I knew Tom.
Okay.
I had dealt with Tom
you guys went way back.
a lot. Yeah, we go. I've been back 25 years with him, and I knew how engaged he was in the business. I knew that he wasn't retired and off clipping his coupons. Okay.
Sure.
Some of the other leaders were not in a position of building teams at that point.
Okay.
They had more of a company role that they were dealing with.
Okay.
And so as I looked at it, I felt like Tom and I, we have a lot of personality the same. I trust Tom explicitly.
Sure.
All my dealings with him have all been impeccable.
Sure.
And to me, that was important, that I could trust somebody that I was going to tie together. I also knew that together with his strengths that he has, he's very good at marketing. You've seen a lot of the material that he puts together and the things he's done. He did a lot for us in WMA.
Okay.
Nobody knew it.
Okay.
Behind the scenes, he was cranking all that out.
Okay.
But it was never known, right? For reasons that, Hubert wanted to not get that in the mix, right?
And a very conservative guy, wouldn't you say?
Very.
I think of all the interviews I did for the book over the last 6 months, I think he may have been the most conservative in terms of approach, strategy.
Well, and the way that his team did business is a lot mirrors the same way that my philosophy and the way my teams work.
Okay.
And I also knew that with my experience in the system and what I'd done, because I'd been there at the beginning, I'd helped create this system, I'd lived it, I've breathed it for all these years.
That's why I asked the question, because you've got the big picture.
Right, I know that taking him and I together, to me, 1 + 1 doesn't equal 2.
Right.
Okay? I think that what that does is really allow us to be 4 or 5.
Sure.
Because the experience and the things we've done and the backgrounds we've had, and then by taking our strengths together, we have weaknesses, right? But I think his strengths, my strengths, help overcome each of our weaknesses.
I see.
And so what I wanted to do was come in and kind of change things a little bit to where we could go out and have a company within a company. So we got together, we started strategizing, talking about things. How would we do that? How would we create it? And it all evolved into Wealthwave. And so, that's what he and I are the co-founders of Wealthwave.
I see. I didn't know that.
Because we started that together.
Okay.
We moved ourselves through it. And he's very good at those things. But we've been able to do that together. So to me, it gave me an opportunity to take all my experiences I've had along the way and plug it into something that was going to be really big into the future. And have a big opportunity that could go out and really impact people. I also think another thing is that the crusade part of this is really an important part of what we do with families. And so having the education out there where it's education based, of how money works.
And people don't know anything about money. We're not taught anything. How would we know? Unless we're in the business you're in, right?
It's absolutely shocking. It's still shocking to me after all these years of how little people know.
Not even in college, unless you're a finance major. Then even then you don't learn that much.
Most of them, you talk to them about the Rule of 72.
Right. They don't even know what it is.
What is the Rule of 72?
And it's a basic concept.
It's such a earth-shattering concept.
That's true,
but they don't even know it.
Right.
And so, all the different financial concepts that we've used through the years, paying yourself first. There's a book being written, a syllabus being put together. There's training being done. We knew that we could take all this and put it into a format that could really educate both the people that we bring in the business about how money works.
Right.
But then also the clients.
Sure.
And really make an impact with them by going out and putting all this together. So we felt like that by tying forces together, we could go really create it. We also wanted to take, and the world has changed with videos, streaming videos. Everybody's carrying a DVD player in their pocket, in their phone. And so we felt like that we could go out and take this system we'd created and do it in a much faster, better way. Now, one of the challenges coming in, and when people come in, is getting their learning curve up, right? Because there's a lot to it. But if I can use technology, look how much quicker I can take and get their learning curve up.
Right.
How much quicker they can learn a system and plug into something that can help them have success. Okay? How much confidence it gives them by having videos that they can go play, give to somebody, and say, watch this.
Right.
It takes a lot of presentations to get times of giving a presentation to get good at it.
Right.
Well, right off the bat, they're handing it to them saying, watch this.
Yeah, perfect every time.
Yeah, every single time. Same.
Consistent.
It doesn't matter if they're sick, doesn't matter if they're tired, doesn't matter whatever.
Right.
Another thing is that when we'd build the business in the past, we'd build it through people coming to meetings, right? We called them corporate overviews or business presentations, whatever.
Right.
And we'd invite people to a meeting. Well, you were only in business when that meeting was going on.
Right.
Right, basically. Well, now with the video, it's 24/7. And how much better are there in people watching a video that's got, music and all the things that make an impact to somebody, rather than just somebody sitting there trying to talk to them?
Does it have, is there any kind of variable between the technology being obviously more efficient, but is there an emotional thing that's lost with the technology or no? Or
No, it can be, and that's why.
Or?
No, there is, but that's why we say what you've got to do is you've got to have high tech with high touch.
I see.
You got to combine the two together.
Okay.
And you do that in other meetings and other ways of creating relationships and getting to know people. And so you take this hero-making apparatus that we've had, this relationship marketing system, and you just infuse or overlay the video system in it.
I see.
That really speeds them up and gets them to where they can become an expert very quickly. All right? And so as that happens, you can speed this whole process up. See, I mean, it would take me 5 to 7 years in the old systems to take from, and I know this, I've done it so many times, right? to go from 0 to $1 million of income.
Right.
Well, here, I think that can be done the way we've got it set up now. That can be a 2-3 year process.
Well, how did it go for you when you started back with
well, when we got back, it's
WFG?
taken, so we've been building Wealthwave. Okay, and so it's been a great experience coming back.
But you became successful pretty quickly?
Yeah, I've done very well. Now, I think it compels in comparison to where things are going to be in the next 2-3 years.
Sure.
Because we've just now barely got all the videos in place, the streaming in place. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes.
Takes years to do that stuff, right?
Oh, it has been tons of work,
money, a lot of time.
Yes. And so all that's been going on. We're just now getting to the point that, between now and the end of this year, there'll be a lot of major changes on it. We'll have all the how money works stuff done. That's a piece that needs to get into it too. And so I think with all that, I think a person can come in, and if he'll work hard, I think in 2, 3, 4 years he can get himself to $1 million in income.
It's a pretty incredible thing.
I really believe today.
It's a big statement to make.
Well, it is, and I people today can go out where it used to take 3, 4, 5 years to make $100,000 ring. I think that's a year to 18-month process generally.
Wow.
With people today that can go out and get that if they're willing to go out and work. I mean, think about it. Just the pure dollars running through the distribution system. If you got 6,000 going into a pay grid, right, versus 600,
yeah, right.
That's a major difference, right?
Sure.
It purely is. And then you put the law of large numbers in it, and what the system allows you to do is never really have a lid on how many. It's a system that can grow with you. You can't outdo it. You can't put too much into it, which is a great concept to have where you have no lid.
Yeah, and not much overhead either.
Correct.
I don't think people really understand. I've been an entrepreneur for 30 plus years on my own. And, and having to spend, you make millions, you lose millions, and you can lose it fast. And you have to develop everything from your own pocket or investors or whatever, which I never really did that much of. I funded most of my projects. And, you win some, you lose some. But
Absolutely.
it's you spend some nights awake, and you guys have it made because you don't have the overhead,
well,
in my opinion.
Yeah, well,
as an outsider.
Oh, hey, that is.
Geez, I'm fascinated with your model.
Well, when you think about it, they come in.
I want to start over.
Yeah, they spend.
Can we go back to 1980, Jeff?
Come on, we'll help you. You pay $100.
Yeah.
You go get your licenses.
Yeah.
Maybe $50 a month you're putting into it.
Yeah.
You can't even go get a lawn care business.
And then you get $1 million mentor.
Yes.
I don't think because I've spoken, as you know, to so many WFG groups for 13 years, whatever it's been.
Right.
And I have so many of them email me and call me and because they think I'm Switzerland, which I guess I kind of am. I'm not in the business or anything,
Yeah,
so I'm safe,
Yeah.
And they'll say, "What do you think?" And I used to be really gentle with them in the beginning, most of them are young, they're in their 20s or 30s. And now I always say, "Are you crazy? I've had to chase rich people around the world to get their help, and I've had to pay them a lot of money usually to do it in some way, or spend a lot of money to get to them.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting this for free on
Absolutely.
spec. I mean, they're giving you, they don't know if you're going to succeed, but they're going to spend all that time helping you on speculation.
Well, and these...
for free.
Look at the experience they've got. Look at the money they're making. See, that was one of the things that helped me make decisions.
It's unbelievable. I said, what are you thinking about? Just do it.
When I was sitting there in that meeting first thing, I'm thinking, well, this guy's making $700.
Yeah.
I want to make $100. Nobody I know is making $100.
Right.
But if they did, how would I go to them and say, let me tag along with you and learn?
Yeah. It's like, kid, go away.
They weren't going to do that.
Yeah, no, they're not going to do that. Not in the real world.
No. And so here, that's done every single day,
right.
Where you have an opportunity to come in. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure I did is I wanted to take advantage of that. That's why I put my ego in my back pocket.
Sure.
And just really tried to be a sponge and learn, on what I needed to do and become a student of the business and move myself forward. I knew I didn't know anything. That was probably one of the good things coming in.
Right.
I didn't have a college degree.
Right.
I came from farming and construction.
Right.
Right. I didn't have anything.
You didn't have the egos.
I couldn't. So that was helpful to me.
Well, it's certainly testament to the system.
It is.
If you've really done it, 7 times you've come back from. So with that in mind, what would someone's watching this that's maybe 25 or maybe 35 years old, they're in the business probably, but, they're struggling. Maybe they're not making as much money as they think. And maybe their spouse, how it works. Spouse is
absolutely.
hitting them and, they're dry. The kids are tagging on the pant leg,
Absolutely.
All the success you've had, all the experience you've had, the corporate side. You are obviously one of the patriarchs of this company and this business, the industry for that matter. What advice would you give that person? I know it's a big question, but what advice would you give that person off the top of your head that's kind of struggling? They're thinking maybe even about quitting.
Well, I think that the first thing that you've got to do is you got to be all in. You can't have your toe in. It's like in the summer, living in Fresno was pretty hot.
Sure.
Very hot.
Right.
You get up 110 and 100 degrees, had a swimming pool. And even as hot as it was, if you just went out and stuck your toe in, there's such a contrast between the outside air and the temperature of the pool.
Sure.
You stick your toe in, you get your ankle in. By the time you're up to your knee, you're out of the pool. The only way really to get going is, I found, to get in the pool was just get back, run, jump. I'm in the middle of the air. I can't change, right?
Right.
You got to get all in. You got to be 100% committed to what you're doing.
What does that mean for the new person or the person struggling?
Well,
when you say all in, what does that mean?
That means you got to be willing. If you're part-time, you better set yourself a schedule. It can't be spare time. Right? And I see so many people using spare time. Oh, if this comes around, I'll go get started.
Yeah.
No, that never happens.
Business doesn't work like that. Yeah.
If you're going to work 10 hours a week or 8 hours a week,
right.
and you want to be part-time, and you want to make $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 a month, that's what you want to do.
Right.
Great. But you got to calendar it, schedule it, and you got to live it. You got to be 100% committed to your business plan. Now that'll change over time as you grow and get successful. Your business plan will continue to grow and change, but you got to be 100% committed to what you're doing. You can't be waffling on it. Another thing I'd tell them to do is I'd tell them that they've got to go out and they got to be willing to pay a price. You don't get anything free.
What's the biggest part of the price that you had to pay?
It's work. You got to go put the time in. and there's some frustration. You get some disappointments. Some things you're counting on don't work out, right? And that can be emotionally tough.
But it's like that in every business, right? I mean,
welcome to life.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
That's what I've learned, right?
Sure.
Because nothing goes exactly how you want. You just got to be able to adapt.
Right.
You got to be able to be all in, have a vision of where you're going, and never quit.
But you guys have the way I look at it as an outsider, and you tell me if you think I'm wrong about this, you guys have a structure, a system, like a McDonald's system, whereas an outside entrepreneur like me, we're making the system up, and half the time it works, and half the time we look like morons because it didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So half the time you're guessing, gee, I wonder if the system will work, where in your case, with years of experience and success, you know the system is going to work. All you have to do is not quit to make it. Am I on the track or no?
Yes, but they've got to be willing to commit to the system.
But you know it'll work if you don't quit. I mean, right? I mean, the odds are on your side.
They are on your side.
Yeah, that's the way I see it as an outsider.
If you're putting the effort in, if you're putting the time in, you're putting the numbers into the raw material, it's going to work.
Right.
Where the disconnect comes is that they stop doing that. They start, they stop. They start, they stop.
Where do they go from? Where do they go?
They just kind of don't show up anymore. I
wonder where they go after that, though. Where do they go where you don't have to work or be consistent?
There is no place to go.
That's
the way I looked at it.
Yeah,
I mean, I'd have some bad days.
Sure.
So I'd get in the car and drive around a construction site, and I'd go, whoa.
Go back there.
That's not so bad. It's a bad day over here.
Yeah.
But it's still better than my best days over there.
Yeah, it's
right?
a lot of work. Yeah.
And so, I think a lot of it is just how you perceive things and what you're willing to do and the focus and vision that you have. I think a lot of them don't give themselves enough time to really even learn the system or even learn what they need to do. I think that I would tell them that they need to get off to a fast start. I got off to a very fast start when I started.
Build their belief? Is that why?
Yes, absolutely. Because that's your question, right?
Sure.
And so I remember I had 6 or 7 recruits pretty quick, and it was my anniversary. And so I'm taking my wife out for dinner, and I'm home from work, and I'm all cleaned up, and the phone rings. And it wasn't a cell phone then.
Right.
Okay. One on the cord, so I go over, answer the phone. My grandkids don't even know that even exists today, right? And so I'm sitting there, and this guy on the other end is my best guy. He's the guy I think is going to be just the superstar. I'm so excited about him, right?
Right.
And he's telling me he's quitting. I'm like, what? I might have felt like I'd got the wind knocked out of me.
Sure.
Right? I'm like, well, because there goes my dreams, right? Flying out the window.
Right.
And what I did is I had enough other people around.
I see.
That I had trapped myself in.
Sure.
I find that there's a lot of things, I made that quote a little earlier about, discipline is doing the things you don't want to do at the time it needs to be done, or doing the thing that needs to be done at the time it needs to be done whether you like it or not.
Right.
What's that like it or not part, right? That discipline.
Sure.
Well, if I'm trapping myself in, that's how I make myself do things I don't want to do.
Right.
Is I trap myself in.
So it forces you to do it.
Yeah. I commit to it.
Right.
This interview, I don't know what questions are coming.
Right.
It's a little disconcerting. It can make you a little bit nervous and apprehensive, right?
Right.
So maybe you don't even want to do it. It's like the first meetings I got up to, I didn't want to do them.
Right.
But when I told everybody the meeting was on,
yeah, now you got to do it.
And I committed to come and do this.
Right.
Guess what? I'm here. No matter how bad I wanted to or didn't want to.
Right.
You've got to learn to trap yourself in to doing things you don't want to do. And because if you just leave it at the moment, you just leave it to how you feel at that moment.
Right.
Human nature is, you're going to talk yourself out of it. You're going to, I remember in Amway, I learned this in Amway. And that's why I think I got off to a good start here. Because I'd be in Amway and I'd be at work doing construction. I'm out building houses. And I had a meeting coming that somebody was coming to speak to. So I was going to bring people to this meeting. Okay? So I'd be there and I'd be all excited. Oh man, I'm going to get this crowd here. I'm going to really get it going. And the day would start going along, and by about noon, I'm starting to get this knot in my stomach.
Right.
Okay? Because now I got to go call people and get them to the meeting.
Sure.
So now I'm putting myself out there to get rejected.
Right.
Right? Well, no one likes that. So I'm sitting there and I'm thinking about, well, I keep getting stirred up about it. And so I start thinking about, well, my wife wanted me to do this today. My wife wanted me to do that.
Right.
I got this to do.
Sure.
And so I had all these things, and, by the day, it's gone.
No time to call anyone.
Done.
Right.
Next day, same thing. Next day, same thing. And so I kind of learned that, hey, I've got to find a way to make myself do things I don't want to.
Right.
I've got to trap myself in.
Right.
I've got to figure a way to do that. And I do that by committing. I do that by a team. I do it by having an upline. So that's one of the things, by having a team, you can trap yourself in.
Sure.
You can't do that when you're out there all by yourself.
Right, right.
You don't do it, nobody cares.
Right.
So you kind of hang yourself by your tongue, right?
Right.
And so I find that has been, so I would tell them they need to do that. They need to get themselves to where they get off to a fast start. Because when that guy quit on me, I had 4 or 5 other people. And I was afraid one of them would win, and I would quit. And then, so that fear of loss kind of helped trap me in, right?
Sure, yeah.
And so getting off to a fast start. And so I'd say if you're struggling, and it hasn't been working for you, there's reasons, and it's probably more you than it is the system.
Sure.
It's probably you not applying some of these principles to really make it go work.
That's what's funny about the internet. People write these things on the internet. And for the book, I did months of reading all that stuff. Yeah. And it's just like, if all these people made it with a system and you didn't, in this equation, who do we think is the variable? Who's the problem, right? I mean, and they don't get that, I guess.
They don't. And to me, one of the things I think we have an issue in this world is people not taking responsibility for themselves.
Yeah, sure.
Right?
Yeah.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Right.
Somebody else's problem. You cannot change, and if you're going to go become something you've never been, it's going to take some changing.
Sure.
Well, the enemy to change is excuses, rationalizations, and justifications. Blaming somebody else.
Sure.
And that's what they go to. Okay, rather than sitting down, looking in the mirror and taking responsibility for their issues and then changing, they keep staying where they're at.
Right.
Okay? And what's that statement about, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results is what? Insanity, right?
Right.
Well, but that's the world we live in.
Yeah.
Okay, and that's why all this stuff will get printed. That's why people will blame. Look, I've been the cause for more people failing than I have succeeding.
How do you mean?
They got to blame somebody when they quit. It's me.
Oh, see, I got you.
You're right. I didn't teach them enough. I didn't spend enough time with them. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. Very seldom do you get somebody go, man, it's my fault.
And WFG is a blame too. It's got to be done.
Everybody.
And WFG, it's their fault.
Absolutely. Across
all
the
these
board,
people are succeeding, but that's their fault.
Exactly
they targeted me.
Absolutely. That's what you get.
Yeah.
And that comes with the territory.
Yeah.
It's just the life. It's human nature. It's what we live in. And so if you accept that and you know what you're doing, I would tell them to stop doing that. Stop making excuses.
Right.
Take responsibility. Look yourself in the mirror. Pick yourself up by the bootstraps and get to work.
Sure.
That's what I would tell them.
Okay, I got 2 final questions for you, because I know I've been asking a lot of questions. But again, with all your experience, I mean, this is, someone can get a PhD in this business. I would imagine listening to what you're saying. It's great stuff. I appreciate you taking time to do this, Jeff.
Thanks.
If you had to start all over again, from scratch, knowing what you know now, this is the old guy question, right? I get these questions too. We're both in that category, right? I'm with you, so I get it.
Maybe I should paint my hair dark.
I think I'm going to get something. I got to get mine's turning more gray all the time. So
With
all this experience now, you're starting over in WFG. It's your first day in WFG, but now you've got all the experience going back to 1980. What does Jeff Miles do differently today, starting from day one, than you did starting in day one in 1980?
Well, I think I would tell them to do a lot of what I did because I got off to a fast start.
Sure.
I think that's the key, is getting somebody off to a fast start. I would tell them that what you need to do is, and a fast start, I don't mean going out and getting all your licenses.
Okay.
You got to do that. That's necessary. It's important. You can't make sales without it.
Right.
Right? But I would tell you the more important part is to get started in building your team and getting raw material through the system.
Okay.
Learning how that works. Get off to a fast start. In the process, you're going to be getting... Now, here's an interesting thing. Licensing percentages, okay, of the amount of people you recruit getting licensed.
Right. It's very low. right?
Yeah, and it varies in teams.
Right, I noticed that during the research for the book.
Yeah, you'll find, yes, and here's why. Okay, they get focused on the wrong thing.
Okay.
They focus them on getting licensed. Well, who wants to go through that? Who wants to go through and pay that price and go in and the agony of studying and taking a test? Most people I know don't like that kind of stuff.
But isn't that a good idea because they can't get paid until they're licensed?
Yes, but what you do is you want to motivate them to get their license quicker. How do you do that?
Okay.
You get them started.
Okay.
You get them a recruit, 2, 3 recruits, 4 recruits. Doesn't take a license to recruit.
Okay.
So they can be building their team immediately. They're also going to be uncovering some business that once they are licensed, they can go do.
Okay.
Okay, that's why I made $5,000 my first month. Okay, because I had gone out and was recruiting and seeing people, and here you sell the people recruit, you sell the people you don't. If you're running your factory right, it's filtering out which people are recruits and then possibly sales if they have a need.
Okay.
And then if not, they can become sales because they do have a need. The financial and the education will help you figure out, and the filters will help you figure out who's who. Okay? But see, if I've got recruits moving through and I got things happening, do you think they're going to get their license quicker?
Sure, right.
That's the motivating factor.
I see.
If I don't do this over here, they're sitting around, my licensing numbers are going to plummet because they have no motivation, no drive. To them, it's just pain and agony. Right? I mean, in sports, I loved playing the game. I loved playing basketball. The Friday night feeling, you could call it, right?
Sure.
I love that. Man, the wind sprints and the practices and all the work. And in Utah, it snows.
Yeah.
And I'd go out there and shovel off my concrete basketball court, and I'd go out and play in the winter till my hands were numb. I'd go back in, thaw them out, go back out, play again. I didn't do that because I loved being cold and hurt and agony. I loved what I was getting over here from doing it.
Sure.
Well, that's how you get people through the licensing process, is you get things moving for them, success happening, things that stretch their vision that this might work for them. They'll speed up their licensing process. If I don't do it, and I see too many people doing it backwards.
So most people must not do that because the license numbers the percentages are pretty low.
In my opinion, that's where that comes from. That's my experience.
I see that they're focused on getting them to get licensed without.
Now, you're never going to get it to 100%.
Right.
You know, you're probably never going to get to 50%.
Well, there's no $100. Right? What are they losing? It's a dinner.
Exactly.
You know, yeah.
And so again, you've got down. Are they willing to go out and go to work, pay a price? Now, the way I speed that up is I get things. So my numbers are better by getting them started properly. So I would tell them to get off to a fast start and do the right thing.
What would you have done differently based on what you did and that you would do differently now with all your experience in the business?
You know, looking back on it, I feel like...
This is the George W. Bush question. You remember, right? What mistakes have you made? And he said none.
I feel like I've gone right down the path that I needed to, because I did put my ego in my back pocket. You know, I probably would have tried to move faster, more people in quicker. I think as I've looked through the years, you have these varying degrees of success that come. And sometimes you can think it's personality, smarts, education, where they come from. What I've found is I've really got in and looked at it. Because I know most of these leaders.
Sure.
And have grown up with them all these years. And when I'd watch somebody come in, the thing that really makes a difference is the amount of people they're willing to talk to and how fast they do that. Mm-hmm. The people that are willing to go more numbers faster are the ones that win the quickest.
So you would have talked to more people even.
I'd done more.
Even though you did a lot, you would do more.
I'd done more.
I see,
right.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so here's my final question for you. What question did I not ask you that you wish I would have asked you? Could be about anything in the, obviously your entire career.
Wow, that's the hardest question.
That's a hard question.
That's the hardest one you've.
That's what everyone says.
That's the hardest one you've thrown to me. Okay.
Something you might want people to know. Again, these younger people are just getting started, you know. They don't have gray hair like we do. They still have the full head.
I think that I would tell them that they really need to, you know, what's the balance that they've got to do from an opportunity or recruiting standpoint? I'll tell you one. Okay, is how do you recruit? Okay, because if you've not come from a recruiting background, it can be a little strange to you.
Sure.
Right?
Right.
And you can even think it's multi-level-ish, when in reality our business isn't multi-level. You know, the insurance industry has always had a multi-pay system. Mm-hmm. That's never changed. Mm-hmm. All we did was take and adapt it to where when somebody comes in, because the challenge in the insurance industry or any direct sales is that when you go out and you recruit somebody and you spend time training them and teaching them and bringing them around, and then they get good enough, well, you're getting an override.
Right.
Well, they want your same contract.
Sure.
Right? Well, if you give it to them, you have no more override. You've spent all that time, energy, and everything else helping them,
right.
and that evaporates.
Right.
So what do? You don't want to train them quite as good as you are. You got to kind of hold them back somehow because
right.
you still want to get that.
Right.
Well, then what happens? They decide, well, I'm good enough. I want what he's got.
Right.
He's got. I'm going to leave and go somewhere else. So all we did is we fixed that in that multi-pay system, whether it be insurance or real estate or mortgages or any direct sale. It's all different levels of pay, different levels of management. Okay, same thing.
Sure.
All we did is took that restriction off and say, look, we're going to readjust this a little bit. What we did is we took some of the money that some of the companies were using to have people come out and teach and train, and you know they had a marketing budget.
Right.
And we said, look, we don't need that. That's who we are. So we want that marketing budget.
Right.
So they'd pay us, and we just put some extra levels in there so that when someone goes out and wants to become who you are, I can do that and still get a lifetime override on them.
Right. It works more with human nature, motivation.
It keeps everybody together.
Sure.
And so we're not multi-level. Okay. Now we have some things. We're not corporate. I've talked a lot about eMyth. We're not franchising.
Right.
But we took some of the best from all those things and created a hybrid.
Right.
Now I would tell them that if you've never been in the recruiting game, every business, the lifeblood of it is recruiting.
Right.
The lifeblood of a family
sure.
is having kids.
Right.
Or you have a lifespan that your family ends.
Sure.
And then having kids, grandkids, great-grandkids, right? So being new to a recruiting type environment, you can kind of get, if you don't understand the perspective right, you can kind of think that it's multi-level. Or someone saying to you when your recruitment's a pyramid. It's nothing like that, right? And so what I'd tell them is, look, here's how you recruit. I think there's 3 key things that have got to happen to recruit somebody. And I think that the first thing that's got to happen is your excitement. You've got to be excited about what you're doing. Because if you look at it, excitement is really, and I'm not talking about the plastic, fantastic stuff that you see. I saw a lot of that in Amway.
Sure.
I don't know about you, but that was my take on it, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the for real inside, how you believe. Right. So in other words, your excitement, what it is it's an outward extension of your inner belief.
Right.
Right? And so that's what people are reading. They're reading your body language, they're reading your tone of voice, they're reading who you are.
Sure.
And your excitement is telling them you really believe in what you're doing.
Right.
So I think, first of all, you got to make sure that you've got the belief in what you're doing. Okay? You've got to be committed that this is doing the right thing for people. We do have a crusade, and it can make a difference in your life. Okay? You've got to get that in you. All right? I think the other thing, the other key about recruiting is that relationships. We talked about that a little earlier. And the reason that works is being able to borrow somebody's relationship or I look at it, when you have a relationship, it's like a conduit between you and the other person.
Right, sure.
So the bigger the relationship, the more level of trust there is.
Right.
So now I can influence them. If it's cold, there's no conduit, so what? No trust.
Right.
So I want to use referrals or relationship marketing as a key to help me. And then the third thing is timing. And you can't do a lot about timing because life does that to people.
Sure, it's kind of luck.
There's so many people that yesterday I talked to that next week they're ready to go.
Sure.
Right? Because
something's
now
happened. Everything's changing.
Something's happened in their life. Right? Well, the only way I get to those people where the timing's right is by using the law of large numbers.
Right.
That's how I make that my friend. So those three key things I think are very important in the recruiting side of this, and keeping and if you'll learn that and you'll go implement those things, you can go build you a big business, and you can get where you are a self-made millionaire, and you can get it where your business is it's recession-proof, it's accident-proof,
getting hit by a car.
Yes, it does that for you, and so it's a great business model to go be a part of. Will everybody make it? No. But they don't make it in anything anyway.
It's true. Right.
It's really, but it gives you an opportunity. That's all I wanted was a chance.
Right.
I just wanted a chance to go prove myself that I could go do it and be challenged and grow. And it's done that. It's been a phenomenal career.
I'm really glad you came back to WFG, Jeff. It's a pleasure interviewing. Thanks for coming.
Thanks, Steve.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for watching. See you next time.